Located at Point Hope, Alaska, Ipiutak was once a flourishing city where people lived, traded and practiced unusual rituals. Today there are only ancient ruins and artifacts left, but the site is of great archaeological and historical importance. Unravelling the mysteries of Ipiutak could help us gain vital knowledge about a vanished culture and the early inhabitants of North America. Unfortunately, this is easier said than done because there is conflicting information about the ancient city of Ipiutak. The site is estimated to be at least 2,000 years old. The community collapsed around 800 AD, and archaeologists are trying to piece together who built the ancient city and when. The builders of Ipiutak were sophisticated people and more advanced than Eskimos. Who were they? Where did they come from, and what happened to them? Ipiutak was discovered during archaeological excavations in 1939 and 1940. It has been labelled as the largest site of its kind in the Eskimo region. Some of the houses have been destroyed by the sea, but there are still enough ruins left to investigate. The ancient city was designed on a grid pattern. Its architecture is very similar to the ancient cities of the Indus Valley. Scientists have discovered about 600 abandoned houses, 1,000 unusual artifacts and a huge cemetery that raises many interesting questions about the true inhabitants of Ipiutak. Ipiutak was built by a fair-haired and blue-eyed race, the Eskimos say. The Ipiutak are famous for producing sophisticated and decorative carvings in ivory, wood, bone and stone artifacts. The complex and unusual nature of the carved ivory material found at Ipiutak immediately confirmed the material as unique. Ipiutak specimens show artisan patterns distinct from those of related cultures. Some archaeologists say the ancient city was constructed by Eskimos, but they deny this. According to the legends of the Eskimos, the ancient city of Ipiutak was built by a fair-haired and blue-eyed race. Their legends also inform that white giants lived in Ipiutak up until the War of the Gods. Could Ipiutak have been a Viking settlement perhaps? One thing's for sure, the inhabitants of Ipiutak were not primitive. In the city, scientists discovered more than 5,000 graves, and some of them revealed this culture practiced unusual customs, but they also possessed knowledge of more advanced science. Inside the graves, researchers found ancient skulls with artificial eyeballs of ivory inlaid with jet. Some bodies had ivory nose plugs shaped like birds' heads, and others had ivory death masks. Many graves contained small mummified animals, also with eyes inlaid with obsidian. Based on the findings, it seems the inhabitants of Ipiutak practiced shamanism, and for some archaeologists, the culture may have came from Ukraine. The ancient inhabitants of Ipiutak left behind valuable clues, but we still cannot know who the original builders were. Perhaps this ancient city was really built by a fair-haired race with blue eyes, as the Eskimos say. But one thing for sure, the city still remains shrouded in mystery.
And to tell you the truth, I'm a little bit apprehensive to be possibly ruffling feathers of powerful people, truthfully. I've kind of taken a new way about it, and that's pretty much what we're going to, I think, talk about today, and or at least start out talking about, and go from there and see what we think about this. I think we're going to be the first people to ever really touch on this, which other people I feel will, have their own experiences with it and at least have noticed it. It's right in front of everyone's face, and I just delve deeper into it. So yeah, figure we'll talk about the number 27. It's really interesting though how it's been a part of everything, even historically, and I don't know the true what it means. I have my theory, which I'll tell you, and hopefully some of the viewers have some theories too. We can get even deeper on this. It's very interesting stuff. I did find out about it through my research with the Freemasons, and like I spoke about in the last video, my great-great-grandfather was the personal bodyguard to Queen Victoria, a 33-degree Freemason, and he was the personal tutor to Prince Edward Albert Victor, the Duke of Clarence, and he was the marksman and swordsman trainer for the Empire. His name was William George Simpson, and then through talking to some Freemasons, I was told by two separate ones that you don't, and they've left being a Freemason, and thankfully, because they found out at 27 degrees, not 33, at 27 degrees, that they're actually worshiping Lucifer. And this was, I started looking, and then my personal, I have 27 a lot in my life, my birth, and my family, just a number that I started looking into it, and then it just started flooding in. Through this research, which I'm going to speak about today, I've been now delving straight into the Bible. Which I'm not going to, we'll talk about that next video because it's not finished yet. But I've been, from all my research and finding all the idiosyncrasies with 27, now I figured I'd have to delve into the last spot I haven't really looked, which is the Bible. So I'm getting deeper into that as we go. But 27 shows itself everywhere, right in front of everybody, and pretty much throughout history, it's really had a big part to do with things. Starting, well, in America, In America, it seems to have a staple in every portion of how we've constructed our whole infrastructure of the country. For example, 27 in America, there's 27 amendments. We have, to become president, you have to win 270 electoral votes. And if you're any person who's going to donate to any campaign, the limit is $2,700. In baseball in America, there's 27 outs. That's seems to be very strange to me, just that coming up alone. No. Florida is a 27th state, and that has always been a real horrible crutch every election. Something's going wrong in Florida, destroying it. Seems to be a pretty powerful number purposely implanted into each different portion of our society. There's 27 shows itself. I know you know a little bit about it. A lot of your viewers do as well. The 27, there's something called the 27 Club, where a lot of pretty much the people know about 27 Club has been kept just to musicians who seem to, die at 27. Strangely, at 27, a lot of them. But during my research about it, I haven't seen other people. There might be. I hope there is. Other people who have searched a little bit further and seen that it's more than just those few that they've kept in. It goes much deeper than the famous ones, which I'll go over here. Famous musicians dead at 27 is Brian Jones from the Rolling Stones, Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, Jim Morrison, Kurt Cobain, Amy Winehouse, all dead at 27. And just to keep going, I won't give everybody because it gets boring, but Pigpen from Grateful Dead, 27. Robert Johnson, who said he sold his soul to the devil, blues player, dead at 27. Linda Jones, Louis Chavron, Richie Edwards, Jeff Buckley. Actors, dead at 27. Jonathan Brandis, Jean-Michael Basquiat, Anton Yelchin, Pete Ham, Chris Bell, that's a musician, Pete DeFreitas, Mia Zapata, D Bone, D from the Echo and the Bunnymen. These are all people who died at 27. Then I started thinking, I started there. I was like, oh, that's a lot. See what else I could find. And then it creeps into different areas as well, like the Sandy Hook killer, that kid Adam Lanza, murdered 27 people. God, I got so much notes on this. Then this is when it really started getting strange to me. I started looking at it in history, right? Archduke Ferdinand, the man who was assassinated where World War I began, in his car when he was assassinated, the license plate 27. Then I started looking for it all the time. It started like sneaking into my brain. I kept seeing it everywhere. Every time I looked at the clock, it was 2:07 or 2:27, and then 10:27 started showing up all the time with me, which is that I think I found something with that. So I started seeing 27 in movies all the time. I'll start with something everyone knows. The Avengers, the first one, when Hawkeye is about to shoot the arrow and blow up that flying aircraft carrier. 27 is right there inside on the panel in the plane. It's me. They make a point to show it so you catch it, which I started to. Movies. It's in. I have. Where's the list of movies? X-Men Apocalypse. The number of on the plane that they fly is 27. In the movie Transformers 3, they take a long shot and show that 27 is written on the blue car where Patrick Dempsey is. Don't talk about Patrick Dempsey. Oh, Seth Rich, the guy who was murdered a few years after the election, he was 27. And then we go to Independence Day. They're in Hangar 27 when they shoot the can on the UFO. The movie It, or the book It, same thing in the movie. It was just released 27 years after the original movie, and in the book, Pennywise, every 27 years he wakes up. Okay. There's the movie Oblivion with another alien movie with Tom Cruise. They show 27 blatantly. And in Edge of Tomorrow with Tom Cruise, he's in Hangar 27 when he's learning how to, use his skill. Aliens, or Alien 1 and Alien 2 with Sigourney Weaver, when he's in the hub talking to Mother, 27, and then when she in Aliens 2, when she comes out with a machine gun to start fighting the Queen, she's in elevator 27. I think I sent you. Oh yeah, Matrix Reloaded. They need to blow up 27 blocks, right? All these movies have one thing in common, and that is they're all alien invasion movies or alien movies. So I started researching 27 and. Constantine, the emperor of Rome, he was praying, he was in a battle and he prayed to the Christian God, our Lord, my Lord and Savior, Jesus. And he said, if you help me win this battle, give me a sign, I will introduce and make the world Christian. And he sees a cross-shaped UFO along with thousands of people, and he wins the battle, and he does indeed turn the world Christian. And that was on October 27th. Okay. And so I started looking at October 27th, world events. That's a very important one. That being the one that Lucifer would not like that very much at all, introducing, Christianity to the world. When Steve Jobs introduced the smartphone and he was doing the whole thing, right on the phone says 1027. In the movie Knowing with Nicolas Cage, it says 1027 right there in the middle of his board with the numbers. Boston Red Sox broke the curse under the blood moon on 10/27/04. Pope John Paul II did what everyone assumes is the apostasy on 10/27/86. The show The Young Pope debuted on 10/27, so I guess that ruins it for the rest of everybody that we now know what he's going to do. October 27th, 10/27 is the 300th day of the year. Finding out that you're these people who want to break away, always break away from the Freemasons when they find out at the 27th degree, not 33rd. They assured me it's the 27th. When they find out, they actually have been worshiping Lucifer. So 27 showing up everywhere, being such a part of possible sacrifices. We know they're sacrifices. These people have been sacrificed. It's obviously a very powerful number. they're using it. They're putting it in movies. All these alien movies where they make a point to say it, show it. The movie Cocoon with Steve Guttenberg. He says it 3 times in a row. It's like $2,700, $2,700, $2,700. Oh God, you devil! He's on the 27th floor. It just keeps going on and on and on. In the Great Pyramid, people have taken. There's 27 circles, right? Just 27, and they think it's to make electricity sent out. Possible. Then there's the 27 sarcophagus of Saqqara. 27 sarcophagus in Saqqara. It's showed up throughout Egypt, all throughout Egypt. The number 27 literally has an angel number that seems to have a connection to Egypt alone. And they knew there was some power, obviously, with 27. So it had to keep going from there. And that's where hopefully someone who watches this knows something I don't, because I'm so thirsty for knowledge about this. It's kind of consuming me. And so then, since it goes back so perfectly obvious to the Great Pyramid itself, there has to be a connection to it. Maybe there's obviously a power that gets drawn through 27. Maybe it's an enhancement of 3. Nikola Tesla said the secret to everything is 3. I've been looking into Tesla, all about him. I can't seem to find anything that gives any other number but 3. Loki coming down to Earth. So it's still another invasion movie of aliens. It's always that. The movie Death Note, a demon comes in and helps people. The kid at the end, they make a whole direct cinematography shot. He's on I-27. It never seems to fit. Every single movie I've watched, 27 now pops up. As long as it has those rules, demons, aliens, or an invasion of aliens. Those 3, and it's 3. Those seem to be the 3 rules that I find it in. Or I guess a fish out of water story, because I did see it in Elf. But Anton Yelchin, the last person who died at 27, I remember, he got crushed by his gate at his house. The gate in front of his house it malfunctioned, was their words. It malfunctioned and crushed him against his, the side where the gate is. The gate came and crushed him. John McCain, the ex-American patriot who was no patriot, who's an evil man, he killed 27 of his fellow soldiers on top of that aircraft carrier. It just seems, it seems almost unbelievable, but especially when I found the Great Pyramid itself contains 27 circles, and then there's a 27 sarcophagus, and that they don't make much mistakes. They were very extremely certain of everything they did. It seems to me that there's something to look into.
Maybe a star map or some sort of star cluster that they're pointing to with 27 stars, or maybe if you join them in some sort of correct way, you can find some sort of star map or something like that.
Like Stargate, it seems like if there is a number that can do it, that can reveal some sort of power or gain power from it, that these people are obviously gaining power from it. And then there's the evil Masons and Satanists who are stealing power from it and draining power from it. I find it very, strange that the day that changed Christianity forever, besides the day of the crucifixion, is October 27th, and that's not talked about because that was the day it was spread to the world. It was decided to spread to the world. And it's used very religiously, the number 27. People use it for evil, which means they want to invert it. And it seems like they're the powers that be. They know something we don't. The number itself is holding so much strength to it and power to it. And the fact that it hasn't really been talked about, it just brushed over, seemingly like it has to be hidden from us regular normies. Mm-hmm. And the elites like to shove it in our face. Watch now, if you see any alien movie, it's gonna pop right up. It's right in front of your face. I can't stop seeing it now. Just to say this real quick, my dad, like my real father, he was born 1927. All right, my brother, he was born 1972, so 27 inverted. And then I was born in 78, but I was born October 27th. That's what made me start looking into it more. And so that's 327s right there for me. And I started thinking, I was like, maybe I'm supposed to keep looking towards this. There's a power in it, just knowing about it. Like, it kind of takes you over. And I can't shake it so much because I want to know more, but I think people will just notice it now. Like, you know, someone watches this and they will catch it, and I'll guarantee it'll be an alien, demon, or invasion of alien movie. Yeah, you'll see it, or it'll have something to do with that. And this is what I thought about it. Okay, Project Bluebeam, right? It's supposed to be a fake alien invasion. I would look out for that to occur on the 27th of a month, or maybe 2027, or maybe even October 27th, 2027. That's the best I can put together as what do I think of it so far? I mean, the elites want to shove stuff in our face, the Satanists, all the dirty Freemasons and stuff. They love to, mock us. And Project Bluebeam, the fake alien invasion, maybe they can't do it now because I just mentioned it to the world, but I would guess, I'm a nobody. But, if I were to put my money on what I think of it now, possibly it's a portal. It's the day they're going to pull Project Bluebeam on us, maybe 1027, since a lot of historical things happen, 1027, 2007, or just the 27th day of some year. I'm not sure. They keep saying 2029 now is having this asteroid come, maybe the 1027 that year, but 1027 is the day to look out for, and then 27 is a number that will reoccur.
How familiar are you with Da Vinci, about his paintings?
I'm not a novice. I know a bit. I think I can keep up.
Well, you see they're all different. But what I've noticed is in the background, it's the same mountain range. And it seems like there's very sharp mountains coming out of the sea. They say if you put all the paintings together, you're going to learn a secret. Now, all you have to do is look at the background and see all the stones in every picture. It's always the same background.
In the Hellenistic era, the Greek god Hermes was combined with the Egyptian god Thoth, which gave rise to the cult of Hermes Trismegistus. So who was the mysterious Hermes Trismegistus? Hermes Trismegistus influenced many ancient thinkers. He was credited with producing tens of thousands of writing that contained profound knowledge about the universe, nature of time, and creation of humankind, incarnation of the soul, and many other subjects that later became very interesting, especially to secret societies. According to Plato, there were secret halls containing 9,000-year-old historical records in the Temple of Neith at the city of Sais, Egypt. The history of Sais goes back to Egypt's pre-dynastic times, prior to 3100 BC, but the only visible ruins are not older than the 11th century. Mr. Trismegistus was undoubtedly a fascinating individual who was considered by some a contemporary of Moses and a forerunner of Christ. Still, it is very difficult to say with certainty who he really was. According to some sources, Hermes Trismegistus lived before the flood, and after inventing hieroglyphics, inscribed his wisdom on them to preserve it from destruction. After the flood, his wisdom was translated into Greek and transcribed into books. Many people say Hermes Trismegistus walked with the gods, and he passed his divine wisdom to mankind. It is also said that he advised the god Osiris. People consider him not a god like Thoth or Hermes, but a prophet. Students of esoteric knowledge have always been fascinated with the teachings of Hermes. The mysterious emerald tablet is of special interest. The emerald tablet is an ancient artifact, of which the original source is unknown. The tablet is part of the Hermetica, and is one of the most revered magical documents in Western occultism. It reveals a profound spiritual technology. It has survived to this day despite many efforts to suppress it. The tablet's true origin is lost in ancient legends that go back more than 10,000 years. One such legend says that the artifact was discovered in a cave tomb, clutched in the hands of the corpse of Hermes Trismegistus. Many Hermetic texts were lost during the Middle Ages, but some were rediscovered in the Byzantine copies. During the Renaissance, wisdom of Hermes Trismegistus was revived again, and Hermetic texts became very popular in Italy. In the book, The Secret History of Hermes Trismegistus, it says there was a fundamental agreement among the various traditions of intellectual history, which included the Greek philosophy of Plato and Aristotle, the Judeo-Christian tradition of the Bible, and the esoteric traditions of the Kabbalah, Hermeticism, and Arab philosophy. Here are some things that Hermes Trismegistus taught people. Wherever there is life, there is soul. Wherever there is soul, there is mind. Everything moved is corporeal. Everything moving is incorporeal. The soul is in the body. The mind is in the soul. The world is in the mind. And the father of these is God. God exists around all and through all things. The mind exists around the soul around the air around matter. Nothing in the world is devoid of life. Nothing in the universe can suffer death or destruction. Life is everywhere. Providence is everywhere. Immortality is everywhere. God announces the future to man in 6 ways: through dreams, portents, birds, intestines, spirit, and sibyl. What is true is not perturbed, not determined, not coloured, not fashioned, not agitated, but is naked, transparent, comprehensible through itself, intransmutably good, and fully incorporeal. Within each thing there exist 10 punishers: ignorance, sorrow, inconsistency, greed, injustice, lustfulness, envy, fraud, anger, and malice. A profound contemplator will see the 10 punishers, of which the preceding conclusion spoke, according to Mercury, correspond to the evil order of 10 in the Kabbalah and its leaders, of whom I have proposed nothing in my Kabbalistic conclusion, because it is secret. The knowledge of Hermes Trismegistus spread across Europe. It was a time when many scientists and philosophers were interested in alchemy, and many alchemy symbols were based on the knowledge found in Hermetica. Many secret ancient societies, such as for example the Rosicrucians, studied the teachings of Hermes Trismegistus, because it was believed his wisdom opened the doorway to the ultimate truth. These ancient secrets were closely guarded by the mystery schools, whose initiates had taken the oath of secrecy, punishable by death. The divine knowledge of Hermes Trismegistus has been preserved for the future generations and is accessible to the general public. The Saptarishi were 7 great sages in ancient India, sent by Brahma, the Hindu creator god. These divine and immortal beings brought precious knowledge to humans, like many other ancient gods. The 7 Rishi had extremely long lifespans, and they were present on Earth through the 4 great ages. During all those years, the Saptarishi guided humanity. So who were the Saptarishi? There is very little information about the Saptarishi. What we do know is in Hindu astronomy, the stars of the Big Dipper are named after the Saptarishis. Their association with the stars gives more support to the theory that they might have been extraterrestrial beings. This is perhaps why we know very little of their lives, parents or lineage. We know them only through their colossal revelations called the Vedas. We know that the Rishis passed on their knowledge. Many different lists of the names of the 7 sages are given. The Saptarishi also had supernatural abilities, and they were the keepers of divine wisdom. They were scientists, but their high level of spirituality allowed them to coexist perfectly with nature. The first Rishis resided thousands of years ago in a remote region of the Himalayas. According to Vedic literature, the Rishis could enter the realms of the gods and demons. In addition to this, the Rishis also possessed the supernatural ability to perceive events in the future or beyond normal sensory contact. According to our present knowledge of quantum physics, the string theory, often called the theory of everything, there are more space dimensions, but the ones beyond 3 are effectively inaccessible. In higher dimensions, we could see past, present and future events simultaneously. Were the Rishis familiar with quantum physics, and did they have the ability to access these higher dimensions, where they could see what was going to happen? Having submerged themselves in the ocean of existence, consciousness and bliss, they had no trace of ego, even though they existed in a human body. They can be known only through their words in the Vedas. They left nothing else. They left no chronicles of their achievements or images that might have survived the course of time. The 7 sages appear in different corners of the world. The ancient history of the Saptarishi goes far back in time, so it is difficult to gain more knowledge about these extraordinary divine individuals. So one could easily dismiss their existence as pure myth, but they also appear in different parts of the world under different names. The 7 sages can be found worldwide and are mentioned in myths and legends of Egypt, Babylon, Sumer, China, ancient Greece and India. The Saptarishi had the same mission as the 7 Apollo, who were antediluvian demigods and sages created by the god Enki. The similarities between ancient myths told by civilizations who had nothing in common and were separated by thousands of miles seems to indicate that the 7 sages were more important to the human race than we realise. One of the 3 largest and most important Mayan city-states next to Guatemala was Calakmul, city of the 2 adjacent pyramids. The ruins of this once powerful Mayan city-state was discovered in the 1930s. Calakmul is one of the finest representations of the Mayan culture. In the days of splendour, this city was ruled by the dynasty of serpents. Today it is an ancient Mayan archaeological site located 22 miles from Guatemalan border, surrounded by the jungle in Mexico. The city probably had a population of 50,000 people and was the seat of the Snake Kingdom, of which rulers reigned during most of the Classic period. These rulers identified themselves as divine lords of the snake. Generally, the Mayans did not have expansive military ambitions, but the lords of the snake were rather unique. They was eventually stopped and defeated by the Tikal rulers. In the 1930s, the city was mapped and it was recorded 103 carved stone slabs at the site. It also has a number of very beautiful murals depicting scenes of the Mayan inhabitants giving, receiving and consuming food products, as well as displaying and transporting other goods. The murals are believed to be one of the most unique pieces of art that can be found in the Mayan world.
What really fascinated me was Mary from Queen of Heaven, because I think that she is Isis and she is Inanna Ishtar. Inanna Ishtar is just the same name for, the Sumerian goddess in Akkadian or Sumerian. And I think that they are on the primordial goddess. Are you still there?
Yes.
Yeah. There was this beep from my phone. I was thinking, my God, my battery died. And she is from the Egypt. I think she's like the birth goddess from in Egypt too. And when you study, like you have, you realize that the stories are the same. So you can, fit the pieces of the puzzle together. If you, Zeus is the head of the pantheon in Greece, and An is the head in Sumer, and the head in Egypt was Ra. And when you compare them together, you understand that they are all the same, and you can dig deeper what they were about. And I think that when they translated the Sumerian tablets in Oxford, the ECTL, I'm not sure what the abbreviation stands for actually, but something Oxford. And they say that Lord of Aratta is a he. But when you read the text closely, it's actually a she. It's Inanna. And when you understand that she is the primal warrior of God, we're talking the supreme God now, and she is the foremost warrior. She is the one with the cobra on her head, Isis, that spits poison on his enemies, and she destroys them all. And she is, frankly, have you heard about Velikovsky's Venus theory?
I haven't, no.
That's very, very, very interesting, because have you heard about the theory that all the goddesses are connected to the planets and celestial bodies?
Yes, I've heard that, yeah.
Yes, and she would then be Venus and the star Sirius, and she also says that to Enlil and Enki, and that she is a star. She will not marry Dumusid, her brother, because he's a simple farmer. She's a shepherd. She's a star. She doesn't want to. And Egypt was ravaged, and a lot of, even in South America, was they having closed eyes on the sky, because Venus was hitting Earth every 52 years and getting it on fire, and people got burned, and there was tsunamis. And so she actually, I don't know how they Velikovsky's theory is very, very interesting, and he has support for it, and it actually fits the text quite well. And there is this hymn I would like to read, if I may. Just okay. A hymn to Inanna, the great-hearted mistress, the impetuous lady, proud among the Anuna gods and preeminent in all lands, the great daughter of Swen, that's the moon, exalted among the great princes, the name of the Ipiutak god. I actually think the princely beard, something that could be connected to the Kumarbi, the space commander of the Ipiutak gods, that actually was Lucifer and started rioting Enlil, and actually they surrounded Iker, Giza, and wanted him dead. Well, anyway, the magnificent lady who gathers up the divine powers of heaven and earth and rivals great Anne. And Anne is, he is the greatest. She rivals the great Anne. And she's the mightiest among the great gods. She makes their verdicts final. The Anuna gods crawl before her august word. The August is very important to remember, because Isis is celebrated in August, when the Nile is flooding over, and it's when Sirius is rebirthed on the sky, actually 1550 BC. And so August is very important, because this will tie into another story later on, whose course she does not let Anne know. Course, and I correlate this to Venus, because she is flinging around like a comet in the universe, and no one knows where she's gonna hit. And she didn't take an orbit until late, and she wasn't even on the star maps, because she wasn't in orbit. And now she's visible for us with our naked eye, but she wasn't then. She's not in any maps. She makes their verdicts final, and she does not let Anne know where she's going to hit. He dares not proceed against her command. She changes her own action, and no one knows how it will occur. She makes perfect the great divine powers. She holds a shepherd's crook. Now, who holds a shepherd's crook? That's Jesus, and actually King Tut, and some more. And she is the magnificent, preeminent one. She is a huge shackle clamping down upon the gods of the land. Her great awesomeness covers the great mountain and levels the roads. At her loud cries, the gods of the land become scared. Her roar makes the Anuna gods tremble. Let me go through this. And she determines destinies too. And actually, she steals the tablet of destinies from Enlil, and she makes the destinies. And I think she is the Ansu bird that they want dead. And An means heaven, and Su means wisdom. And when you look at her pictures, you see that she has wings of a falcon. Her feet are falcon's claws, and she always has two lions beside her feet. And when you see other pictures, I think I'm going to send them to you so you can upload them or something. I don't know. You can see that she is the coiled snake in the middle, and surrounded by two lions. And the coiled snake is also actually correlated to Lucifer. When you see Lucifer's pictures, and he holds like this satanic symbol with, as above, so below. And she has has, Lucifer, horns on her head. And did you see like the pornographic picture I sent you yesterday? Well, she says to her brother Utu, Shamash, the sun god,
Yeah.
that she will be his canal. And she bends over. And he's like behind her with, you know what? And you can actually see that they are reptiles, because in that picture they are reptiles. She has horns on her head, just like Lucifer. And it makes sense when you know that she is like a gazelle. She is the antelope goddess. I think she wants to symbolize that we are all one.
Right,
And
right.
and that's but why she's got hooves and you know, all sorts of, Lucifer's got all sorts of symbols, but he whatever, and that's another aspect. They are you know, androgynes, so saying that it's she when they actually are hermaphrodite, which is Hermes and Aphrodite. That's, you know, it's I don't know how to. And she is the mother goddess. She is Ninlil. She is the mother goddess in Atrahasis that Matthew Lacroix talked about. And she is called, and she is later called Mulitu, and they call her Bellitu there, and the mommy. And she's Enki's wife.
Would it surprise you that there are a lot of people with elongated skulls or long heads in Africa? On a bulletin board, someone quoted from a 1939 publication by Raymond A. Dart, who's an Australian anatomist and anthropologist. He recorded the cephalic index of 2,861 Egyptian skulls, spanning the pre-dynastic and all the dynasties. Dart was a professor of anatomy at a university in Johannesburg, South Africa. In his population fluctuation over 7,000 years in Egypt, he shows that only 1% of pre-dynastic Egyptian skulls are round or spherical. From Dynasty 1 to 6 in the Old Kingdom, round or spherical skulls does not exceed a single percent. However, during the first intermediate period of Egypt, 2181 to 2055 BC, or known as Dynasty 9, 11.6% of skulls are brachycephalic or round. In the 1300 BC century, we find a well-known family of long-skulled people as rulers of Egypt. Akhenaten and his wife Nefertiti and their daughters had clearly very elongated skulls. Akhenaten's father and mother are Amenhotep III and his wife Tai. The parents of Nefertiti are not known. Akhenaten and Nefertiti were quite different from the previous rulers. They did away with the multi-god pantheon and introduced the monotheistic sun god as the only one to worship. They disempowered the priest class that now was losing its grip on the masses. They eventually managed to dethrone the Akhenaten family. Their fate is not known, aside from Tutankhamun, who died as a boy. Up to their reign, pharaohs were always depicted in an idealized form. Akhenaten and Nefertiti were the first Egyptian rulers who had realistic sculptures and statues made of their physical body. We will explore the Akhenaten family and also the Ramses lineage, whose mummies also show round or long skulls. There was a time when human species with elongated skulls of various types and races lived all over the planet. They were matriarchal and had great knowledge and skills, especially in working with stone. In some places they were the rulers, while in other places they were living in small communities. All that changed when humans with round skulls multiplied and spread all over the globe, taking over the territory of the long-haired people. The long-haired people were very intuitive and energy sensitive, and they were the builders of numerous earthworks and stone megaliths. They worked with the energy lines and spots of the earth. It seemed that the round-haired people were the first to work with metal, and as a consequence fabricated metal weapons, which they used to subjugate or wipe out the long-haired people. The round-haired people were very warlike, patriarchal, and thrived on conquest. Modern-day humans are the descendants of these round-headed people, and maybe that is the reason why our leaders decided to let the physical evidence of the long-haired people disappear into the basements of museums. And to forget what archaeologists have found during the early 18 and early 1900s in their excavations. Bear in mind, there is a lot of variance in the opinions of archaeologists in regards to the different human and hominid races, their origins and their migrations. New DNA analysis of the bones and skulls have yielded new insights in the history of all those races and changed a lot of theories. This shows that long-headed humans were once prevalent in Europe and the rest of the world.